Welcome to Etihad Focus, your number one spot for the latest match updates, transfer news, and inside training coverage. If you love football, you're in the right place. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any breaking updates. Let's get started. 5 transfers Manchester City could complete in January: Semeno, sales, and squad calls. Manchester City are keen on Antoine Semeno, and it could be a busy January transfer window at the Etihad. Manchester City have generally been quiet observers in the January transfer window. Then 2025 happened. The Blues were in the grip of a dreadful run of form, and Pep Guardiola and cheeky Begiristain acted. The City rebuild Guardiola felt could be conducted in the summer was brought forward, and the Blues spent nearly £200 million in strengthening the squad, more than half the total outlay of Premier League clubs. Omar Marmoush and Nico Gonzalez arrived as first-team options, while Vitor Reis and Abdulkadir Kusanov were signed with the future in mind. It was by far the busiest January window in recent times for City, who also offloaded long-term captain Kyle Walker on loan. As we prepare for the 2026 January window to open, City are again expected to be active. Here's 5 transfers that could happen next month. City are actively looking at the Bournemouth man who has a £65 million release clause in his contract that can be activated in January. The 25-year-old is almost certain to leave the Cherries, and a clutch of clubs are keen on his services, including Manchester United. Chelsea are also interested, and Liverpool are long-term admirers. Tottenham have been credited with an interest, although that feels remote given Spurs' league position and the other sides in contention for his signature. Semeno scored 14 times for club and country last season, and his goal threat, versatility, Premier League experience and work rate make him an attractive fit for City. It rather summed up Bob's season that when handed an opportunity in the League Cup tie with Brentford, he was forced off injured inside 20 minutes. The winger has bags of potential and looked set for a defining role at the start of last season before a leg fracture in August put pay to his chances. This term he's struggled for opportunities, and when they've arisen, he hasn't taken them. A move away in January and a distinct possibility, although it remains to be seen whether that will be a loan or permanent exit. The midfielder hasn't been part of City's plans for about 3 years. He did make an appearance off the bench against Huddersfield in the early rounds of the Carabao Cup, but has no future at the Etihad. He'll be allowed to depart if an offer arrives. Since coming on for a surprise debut in the FA Cup final and scoring and catching the eye on the Club World Cup, things haven't gone to plan for the youngster. A switch to Bayer Leverkusen looked a good move, but the manager that signed him, Erik ten Hag, was sacked in the opening weeks of the season, and Echeverri has struggled for chances since. He's set to depart Germany next month, and the hunt for a new club will begin. City's sister side Girona remains a possibility, and there will likely be interest in the 19-year-old, but his next decision feels a vital one to get right. Similarly to Echeverri, Simpson Pusey has struggled for minutes at Celtic. He's also seen a managerial change, and few predicted the difficult campaign Celtic are enduring. The defender would benefit from a fresh start elsewhere in January as he seeks to showcase the abilities that have already earned him a City senior debut. Antoine Semeno makes January transfer preference clear amid Manchester United and Manchester City interest. Bournemouth winger Antoine Semeno has made a decision on his future amid interest from Manchester City and Manchester United. Bournemouth winger Antoine Semeno has made his preference on his next destination clear ahead of the January transfer window. Both Manchester City and Manchester United are among a number of Premier League clubs to have inquired about the Ghana international in recent weeks and months. Liverpool, Chelsea and Tottenham have also been linked with the player, but the indication has always been that the 2 Manchester clubs were leading the chase. The latest report from The Athletic's David Ornstein is that it is Semeno's preference to join City should he leave the Vitality Stadium next month. A deal between clubs is yet to be agreed, as a little over a week remains before the window opens, but the presence of a £65 million release clause that can be triggered before January 10th should make the move straightforward. If he were to remain at the Vitality Stadium beyond the January window, the release clause would then drop significantly ahead of the summer. That said, interest from Premier League clubs, most notably City, makes a winter exit the likeliest outcome. Ornstein claims that Semeno's desire to win trophies was one of the driving forces behind his decision to choose City. Pep Guardiola's side have won 6 Premier League titles since 2018, with only Liverpool usurping them on 2 occasions. In Europe, they have also remained competitive, claiming a Champions League triumph over Inter Milan back in 2023. That year, they secured a historic treble by also winning the league and FA Cup. City's rivals United were also heavily linked with Semeno, but a move next month was always going to be a stretch for Ruben Amorim's side. Liverpool were also credited with interest in the player, as were Tottenham, but neither appeared to step up their pursuit in recent weeks. Chelsea emerged as outside contenders on Tuesday, with reports suggesting they had made inquiries with Semeno's representatives. However, it later emerged that they had decided against pursuing the 25-year-old and instead retained faith in their current attacking options. A move for Semeno would provide greater depth to Guardiola's attacking options, which already consist of Erling Haaland, Jeremy Doku, Omar Marmoush, Savinho, Oscar Bob, Phil Foden and Ryan Cherki. City remain locked in a title race with league leaders Arsenal, with just 2 points separating the sides after 17 matches. City's immediate focus, however, will be on their upcoming fixtures heading into the new year. They take on Nottingham Forest away a couple of days after Christmas, before a tricky test on the road against Sunderland on January 2nd. January transfers: Antoine Semeno, Ryan Ait-Nouri, Manchester City. Questions answered. Your Manchester City questions answered as our chief City writer Simon Bajkowski delves into the latest on the January window. There's never a shortage of Manchester City topics to discuss as Pep Guardiola's men look to compete in 4 competitions this season after the disappointment of last year. We've got every game and press conference covered for you, but we also know that there is so much going on around that. That's why we are starting up regular Q&A sessions with our chief City writer Simon Bajkowski. The day of the week it comes out on may change depending on what City's schedule looks like, but essentially, this is your chance to get an answer on anything you want. Simply comment on the Q&A article when it comes out, or respond to the brand account on social media, and Simon will wrap everything up the next morning. This week we are looking ahead to the January transfer window and beyond, with City alive to a potential move for Antoine Semeno amid competition from Liverpool and United, and also planning for longer. Here are the responses, and we will be back with another Q&A next week. More of a statement than a question to start, but I like the conviction. It has felt and been seen in the last few months that City have an excellent starting 11, but a significant drop when key players are rested. That's to be expected to some degree, but when you think of some of the squads who achieved the biggest things under Guardiola, the squad was considerably better. Ryan Ait-Nouri needs to challenge Nico O'Reilly when he comes back from AFCON. John Stones need to get fit and stay fit, and Abdulkadir Kusanov needs to find the form that he showed earlier in the season against United and Arsenal. All of those will push City closer, but are far from certain. As we've reported recently, Mark Guehi is being looked at by City, but that is for the summer, and Liverpool could pounce in January. His signing was seen as terrific when he joined, and he looked very good on debut against former club Wolves. Yes, a Wolves side that have just 2 points after 17 games, but ask Matthias Nunes how tough it can be to go back to Molineux. He got a bad injury at a bad time and has since been kept out of the team by the force of nature that is O'Reilly. Ait-Nouri has to see that as temporary, but he is the older player, so he has to make more of his opportunities when he does come into the team. I think his price point means there aren't enormous expectations on him though, and if he can start to play a role in starting some games and coming off the bench in others, that will be a valuable first season, as he learns under Guardiola. Rodri is coming back whenever everyone feels Rodri is strong enough to come back. After several aborted attempts to return, a more cautious approach has been taken. Guardiola mooted the end of December when he was asked earlier in the month, but it's likely a pocket of games has already been found to reintroduce him. When he does come back, it will take time for him to get back to full speed. Despite that, I'd be surprised to see City strengthen in midfield in January. Antoine Semeno is an active situation where City are one of multiple top clubs looking to take advantage of a release clause, and there are decisions needed on loanees Claudio Echeverri, who will definitely need a new club, and Jarmai Simpson-Pusey, who probably does need a new club, but I'm not sure the likes of Elliot Anderson or Adam Wharton are worth adding millions to their fee to try to sign them in January. Yes, the Bob situation is a real shame. It looked at the beginning of last season like he was going to make a real impact before his leg fracture.